Hello everyone, Evasion here and welcome back to the video. In today's video, I wanted to do a quick beginner guide for Scrapper for Chaos Dungeons. This build is going to be directed at players who don't have engravings yet, as well it is very possible to get them when you hit 50 first time. However, since I used the Power Pass, my yellow and purple quests seem to be all completed, so I'm a little bit scuffed for a bit. So this build is going to be for people who don't have engravings. Please enjoy. For the first skill, Charging Blow, we have 4 points. I have it into Excellent Mobility, but you can play Ready Attack if you want for the 15% attack power buff. This is actually better, although for the start of the game, I really like to have this 3-meter increase, so you can kind of group, or you can use it to get around the packs and group them up better, using the other skill, Chain of Resonance. The next thing, we have Fierce Tiger Strike. You just take the simple or amplified damage here for the 6% damage increase. This actually works for party members as well, which is really cool. And not much more to say about that. It's pretty much just utility. And then Dragon Advent, you take this for a little bit extra mobility, and the damage is pretty good in the early Chaos Dungeons as well. And then onto our first heavy hitting move, Earthquake Chain. This thing is a monster. It actually does big damage. So you take Undying Power, Blindside, and Giant's Advance, and basically what these three combined will do is create a massive forward AoE. And by using the skill Chain of Resonance, which we'll hop into next, this will create a big chain cone in front of you and kind of group everything up. And so if you use this move, you can just get, basically if you take Rugged Chain 2, you get a big attack power increase for everything you hit. And then you can set up really easy one-shots on like 100 mobs at the same time with Earthquake Chain, which is really damn cool. And then now we're getting into the green skills. You got Death Rattle. Take lower cooldown. You can actually take the AoE radius plus 15% if you're having a hard time hitting a lot of mobs with this. But this is mostly used, I would say, for dropping the big mobs in packs in the Chaos Dungeons when you get kind of like a mini-boss. And single target hit damage. This really isn't as useful in Chaos Dungeons. You could switch this over to Tenacity if you're getting interrupted. Into Chain Destruction Fist here. You want to use Endless Rage, Tenacity, so you get the push immunity, and then Shaking Ground. And what this is going to do is create a massive AoE around you. It's a very slow skill, so you have to be careful when you use it that you're not going to get run over by a bunch of avoidable AoEs that you got to get out of. But it's a very powerful skill nonetheless. And then lastly here, we have the True Rising Fist, and this thing does a lot of damage as well. I take Lightning Fist, Air Raid. If you're doing like a raid or something, you can take the objective hit instead. And then Dragon's Fury, so the downward damage and the AoE radius of the splash on the ground are going to be massive. So that's pretty much the skills for this build. For stats, since we don't really have, I'm going to save that. I think I just unsaved that, but we'll fix that later. Anyway, so the skills you want to take, or stats you want to take, you want to get as much specialization as you can, and then try to get crit. But in tier 1, it's really hard to optimize your stats. And this would actually be more of the stat setup for a shock scrapper. But as far as I'm thinking, most of your damage here comes from specialization and the shock skills at this stage of the game before you get engravings. But you can kind of build however you want, because if you're going to end up going Taijutsu, you want to get swiftness and crit. But yeah, this skill build would actually function quite nicely with the Taijutsu skill as well, but you would probably want to drop True Rising Fist and Chain Destruction Fist. But that's another video. We'll make a video on that in the future probably. Although, personally, I'm going to be going the shock build. Lastly here, I'll just show some quick examples of using Chain of Resonance to set up for the big Earthquake Chain, as I believe it's probably one of the most important things. And then you can kind of just run around and group things up and fight from the outside. It kind of works really well with Scrapper. But if you do end up in the middle of all of them, your Chain Destruction Fist, or my skill on S here, is going to be the most useful. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. And hopefully you enjoy your Scrappers.